Why? The question mark still remains why, I think, for most people. For those that missed it, yesterday I made a video talking about the fact that, yes, indeed, RightStuf itself is going to cease to be. It is going to become Crunchyroll Store, and it's all going to be on Crunchyroll's platform, and the brand name and the existence of RightStuf will cease to exist for the end of time, unless Sean Kleckner comes back and makes a new RightStuf. that would be amazing. Sean Kleckner, please do that. That would be like the most I'm sure that he has some sort of contract through the sale of non-compete or something like that. We'll see though. We'll see that they have that other store that all the R18 stuff went to. Maybe possibly that can spur into a new naughty stuff or something. I don't know. Call it something. But no, after posting that video, obviously looking online over the last 24 hours, there has been a lot of confusion around this whole ordeal. Why did this happen? What was the point of all this kind of stuff? Even John from Media Blasters, for those who don't know, Media Blasters is a publisher. They license a lot of anime, a lot of live action stuff, a lot of naughty stuff, a lot of just older stuff, and brings them to Blu-ray and stuff like that. Really great company. I have a ton of Media Blaster stuff in my collection. But yes, John said it pretty well for most people. It's the WTF. Like, what was the point of all this? Like, why did you even do this? This doesn't make any sense. And I felt it was kind of a good thing to get on here and kind of explain people, at least my educated guess, my perspective onto why all this stuff happened. Of course, the initial buy of RightStuf for me made sense, but at the same time, I didn't want it to happen. I obviously really love RightStuf. I have been most everything you see behind me, and I have these tons of these large bookshelves, floating shelves that I created that just has nothing but Blu-rays, light novels, manga, stuff that I bought during my last job with my disposable income, just making a massive collection. I used to hit every single one of their holiday sales, buying tons and tons of stuff. I used to have these unboxings. That's how I originally met Sean Kleckner. Now, I don't know him. I just had some conversations back and forth until I got in contact with somebody at RightStuf, became a part of their affiliates group, started doing reviews for them and all that kind of stuff. And I've had a great relationship with them. So yes, this scared me. This idea of Sony, who has just bought Funimation and they bought Crunchyroll, and now they're buying RightStuf. They're just buying up everything. Obviously, after buying Funimation, they pretty much dissolve that company and make it into Crunchyroll. And so the logical conclusion there is that RightStuf is going to do the same thing. They're just going to cease to be. And the big massive question mark was, why? And my mindset at the time was just for control. This is a company, Sony as a company is trying to make Crunchyroll into the place you get anime from. They want to make it a monopoly. Let's be perfectly clear. I mean, as much as we claim that monopolies cannot exist in this country, they exist. So yes, my conclusion there was that yes, they're buying RightStuf because they don't want RightStuf to exist. They want RightStuf to be them. They want to have the premier place to come to for your anime stuff. And again, they have the money. They're going to spend it however they want to spend it. They're going to do that. But I think there's a couple things here that a lot of people have confusion over. The idea of why this happened, which, like I said in my last video, it didn't surprise me because I knew it was coming. They always claim when they first buy out a company, we're not changing anything, things will remain. I forget exactly what the quote was on their website. It was something like, RightStuf and Crunchyroll go together like peanut butter and jelly, I don't know. And so they're both going to exist at the same time. They're going to accent each other. And it's always that aspect of like, every time a buyout happens, they always say that, and it's never true. Within a year, always a year, it happens. Suddenly, everything changes, or one disappears. That's how it always works. It's just business. There's no reason to have all these different brand names under your thing if you're trying to make everybody think, when I think anime, I think Crunchyroll. Oh, I need to go buy something anime related. Crunchyroll. Oh, I want to go stream the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. Crunchyroll. They want you to think Crunchyroll. They want that to stick in your brain. As much as I don't like the Crunchyroll name, not that I have a fondness for the name RightStuf, it's just there's a nostalgia there. That was something that's been around for, so long. What, the 80s, 90s? It's been around for a long time. And so, yes, seeing it gone for a name like Crunchyroll is a little bit sad, for sure. Now, before I get into what I wanted to kind of respond to about with John with Media Blasters, which I think is kind of a confusion that a lot of people have. Not that I think he's wrong. He could probably see something I don't. And this guy is literally in the publishing sphere. He knows what he's talking about for the most part. But again, from my perspective, somebody that has been looking at this stuff with a magnifying glass for my new career, basically. But I think the thing that most people don't seem to understand is how this is working. What exactly is happening here? This isn't literally Grimes, Iowa, where RightStuf is suddenly that company shutting down. Like on October 10th, literally the doors are closed, they pull down the shutters, and they walk out and they lock the door. That's not what's happening here. What is happening here is essentially before the buyout happened with RightStuf, you have Crunchyroll, Sony over here. They're like over here in California, obviously. And then you have over here in Grimes, Iowa, you have RightStuf Anime. And this is a massive warehouse that's out there. And then they have this little office on the side where they have Nozomi Entertainment. They have all their sales is done, support, all that kind of stuff is done in that building. This is RightStuf in Iowa. Now, what happened when the buyout happened is they said, okay, we now officially own this building, and everybody and all the workers' contracts within here. Not that they only own the contract. They probably want to do that. Everybody in that building is now working for Crunchyroll, just under the name. They're still getting their paychecks, probably still RightStuf until probably here recently. They probably shifted things over. Who's writing the check itself has probably been shifted to Crunchyroll. And over time, what happened is you have this slow transition that happens. Again, on the surface, they want everybody to think nothing's changing, but on the background, things are changing constantly. They're bringing Sean Kleckner over their facility. They're saying, tell us what's going on here. How did you pull this off? They go over to RightStuf's facilities and they go, how did you pull this off? How does everything work? They want to get all the information. They want to know. They want to write down every single detail about the facility before Sean Kleckner walks out the door. Because that's an inevitability. Sean Kleckner sold it. He's going to leave eventually. They want to know everything that's working. And they want to put into systems and layouts so that if they ever want to kick somebody out of the building, they can. They want to find out how the sales team works because eventually they're going to take over from the sales team. Then we come closer and closer to October 10th. And what happens? What is going to happen during this transition over there? I don't know the full details. I'm just guessing here. My assumption based on my knowledge of buyouts and how companies like that work, because I used to work for a company that got bought out by a bigger company and they did the same exact thing here. Over this period of time, coming up to that date, what they've done is taken everything in that database at RightStuf facility and they've merged it into Crunchyroll storage database. They've moved all the contacts. They're going to move your accounts unless you email them and tell them not to do that. They're going to move everything into Crunchyroll stores database. And at that point, what happens is their sales teams kick them out. Their marketing teams, they kick them out. They don't need two marketing teams. They don't need two sales teams. They got plenty over here. They've moved the database. And what's left at Grimes, Iowa, the RightStuf facility, is they take down that emblem. They put up the Crunchyroll store emblem up there. And all you have left is the people on the floor. You have the warehousers. You have everybody that's, packaging up stuff. You have maybe some team there, IT teams or something like that. But everybody else is gone. They might remain Nozomi Entertainment in there for now because they did claim they're still going to do Nozomi Entertainment stuff. They're going to keep working with that stuff. They're going to finish out those licenses. But that team's probably going to go after that too. There's no reason, again, for them to have two production teams. They don't have to have two licensor teams. They don't have to have... There's no purpose to duplicates. So anything that they have over here, they don't need over here. And like I've said before, RightStuf was already pretty much shipping most of Crunchyroll's stuff already. So they're just going to leave that there. Grimes, Iowa is going to be their shipment logistics team, and everything else is going to be in the Crunchyroll headquarters. That is, again, my educated guess based on my experience with buyouts like this and how this whole thing pretty much works. So it's not that the company itself is shutting down. It's just being rebranded, and they're going to get rid of redundancies. So now that I have the basic gist to everybody, what exactly is happening here? What physically is happening here? Because again, I think a lot of people either were surprised this is happening, which again doesn't make any sense, or they just possibly don't understand the full details because obviously Crunchyroll's not going to get into details. They're not going to say what exactly is happening in their FAQ, and it's underneath there it says, yeah, we're ditching our sales team. It's all moving to Crunchyroll's headquarters, and oh, by the way, the warehouse is staying in Grimes. We're going to ship everything to there production-wise, and then they're going to ship it out from that warehouse. That's our logistics team, basically. Let me get into, I think, one of the more interesting questions that was posed over the last 24 hours about this whole ordeal, and that, again, was from John from Media Blasters. Again, the joke there was his whole video ends with WTF because literally it's hard to comprehend, and I fully understand that. This makes no sense. You bought a perfectly good company, a company that has pretty much mostly satisfaction through it. I barely hear anybody that hates RightStuf. If anybody has problems with RightStuf, it's typically maybe they had a little bit of a misunderstanding or a disagreement with a return, Or possibly they're holding up his orders because, you know, 1-2 items on the order is pre-ordered. That's why I stopped buying pre-order items from RightStuf, is because I got sick of that whole aspect of it's all got to be in stock before it ships. Besides that, it's been a great company. Everybody loves them. One of their biggest staples is the fact that they ship everything so well packaged. Go look at their YouTube channel if it's still there. Most of their videos is let's drop a box with a limited edition in it that's worth, you know, like $150 off of a crane. That's them. They have such great rapport with their customers. People love them. You don't hear people going, "Oh my gosh, I love Crunchyroll store. I can't wait to buy something else from Crunchyroll store." No, you hear people saying, "I love RightStuf. I trust them when I order something from them. That's going to come in a box." I even deal with that. Like I said before, I don't do my pre-orders through RightStuf anymore, even though I kind of want to, because I get stuff from Barnes & Noble or something like that, and it's in a padded envelope. And it's not like the mail carrier's going, "Oh, it's a padded envelope. Better be very careful with this because there's probably something here that can bend." No, they literally, they like hockey puck it in the facilities. They don't care what's in it. RightStuf, even if you bought one book, it's in a box. It's crazy. And that's what kept me coming back to them. That's why I bought so much crap from them, is I knew when I could have got it cheaper from Amazon. No shipping costs or anything like that. But I was still getting through RightStuf because I knew it was going to arrive good. Sometimes your time and frustration is worth that extra buck. And that's what was so great about RightStuf. So yes, John is right to question why. You have a perfectly good brand here. People love RightStuf. Dump the Crunchyroll store and rebrand to RightStuf. Let that be your brand. But again, they want you to think anime goods, Crunchyroll. Streaming, Crunchyroll. Anything anime, they want you to think immediately Crunchyroll. They don't want you to think RightStuf or Crunchyroll. That's the first answer I can give, unfortunately, to John here. But no, the question mark that he brought up is honestly something that I've asked myself several times. It is why did the initial buy happen? That's the big question mark. Because from John's perspective, and it's a right perspective, is the idea they wanted that brand name. They wanted that goodwill to the customer. RightStuf is positivity. And so they wanted that positivity. But no, in actuality, in my opinion, to answer the question of why the initial buy, is because RightStuf was already shipping a lot of Crunchyroll stuff. It was already shipping a lot of Funimation stuff. It was already shipping Sentai Filmworks. It was shipping Yen Press. It's shipping everybody, but also they were shipping Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll was shipping stuff out of Grimes, Iowa. Yes, in a lot of cases, you'll have like Funimation fulfillment on there, but then you'll see Grimes, Iowa. I wish I had a package here. I haven't bought from Funimation in forever, but that was the deal. Like, I used to get stuff from Funimation store, and it was literally Grimes, Iowa, fulfillment Funimation. That was the funny thing about it. It was almost like buying something third party from Amazon. It literally just says Amazon fulfillment, even though it's not technically from their warehouses. It's one of those funny aspects. But yes, buying them made sense in the idea that why are we having them handle all of our orders and warehousing? We're paying them to, because they had, let's keep clear exactly what everything that Crunchyroll had to do with RightStuf over there. And why probably Sony walked in the door and said, "All right, so where are you guys shipping out your Blu-rays from? Because I heard that you guys do some Blu-rays." They're like, "Oh yeah, we just have, we have RightStuf handle it." They're like, "Okay, what does that cost you?" Because they're going to look through that entire ledger after they bought Crunchyroll, before actually, but before and after that ledger's going to be looked at. They want to know everything that's functioning in Crunchyroll. And Sony probably seen, and they probably seen it with Funimation too, all this stuff that they're warehousing at RightStuf, and they're paying to have it shipped out of there. They're giving RightStuf a cut. There's all these margins that are being plucked out of their sales of their Blu-rays by it being done by RightStuf. And that's why Sentai Filmworks, after the buyout happens, they moved to another fulfillment center. Because they knew that once Crunchyroll bought RightStuf, they needed to get out of there. They don't like the idea of not having control. And so Sony wanted control. They bought RightStuf because they wanted to get rid of all those. They want to put money in their own pocket. They don't want to. Essentially, when they sell something to RightStuf, they're paying themselves in that sense when they buy them out. So they wanted a fulfillment center. That's what Crunchyroll wanted. They wanted control over everything. They wanted, when you buy Yen Press, when you buy 7 Seas, a manga, a light novel, a Blu-ray, you see Crunchyroll. You don't see RightStuf. But I think the bigger thing that John questioned, and again, is something the same thing that I've questioned before, is why does Crunchyroll want to have a physical medium distribution center? This is a streaming platform. And I think the reason why I think John probably thinks that, and I think that's a lot of people have that same perspective, is probably because of a company known as Netflix. Netflix doesn't like selling Blu-rays of their shows. I mean, I think the only one that I'm aware of, anime-wise, that has ever had a Blu-ray release was Hero Mask, I think, and I think The Beginning, but those were in Japan. And I think also all the anime in the UK, I think they did a release as well. But Netflix themselves don't, when they pay into a company, whenever they buy a license or something like that for streaming, they want you to come to their platform. They don't want you to buy the Blu-rays. Sub with us. And hopefully don't unsub afterwards. Please forget to unsub, because they will make way more money than if we sold a Blu-ray. And again, that's the right mentality to have that John's having here. Why Crunchyroll, that is a platform for streaming, would want to have a physical distribution center. This is opposite to Crunchyroll. We don't want that to exist. And that may be, and this is probably a really bold statement here, that's probably what they want to in the future. They want to shut down that distribution. They want to limit it, compact it. We don't want you to see how much Sentai Filmworks is selling. We don't want you to see how much these manga are selling. Come to our platform. Read manga on our platform. Stream shows on our platform. And honestly, I can agree with that and disagree. Crunchyroll, up until the point they got bought out, was starting to dabble into physical releases. Before then, no, they never really did it. It was typically Sentai Filmworks, somebody would have to pick up the physical license after it dropped, and then they would release it later on. Or there was a restriction for time in which they can finally do a Blu-ray release. Because typically whenever an anime or something like that is made in Japan, Japan has the exclusivity on selling the Blu-ray initially. So the show will air, it'll come over here, it'll stream, and then a little bit later, it'll sell on Blu-ray in Japan, and then a little bit later, they have to wait, it'll release over here in the United States or whatever country. Why they have that delay is because they don't really want you to have people in Japan importing it back to Japan because it's so cheaper here to buy the Blu-rays over here. They want to have that delay there. But still, over time, Crunchyroll was starting to do Blu-ray releases. It was through like Sentai Filmworks partnerships and stuff like that, through Funimation's partnerships. Funimation was big on it. Shoot. No matter how crappy the show was, Funimation was going to make a dang Blu-ray for it. And I love that aspect. It was like, no matter what you watched, no matter how terrible it did, if you liked it, you could have a Blu-ray of it. There's a lot of garbage that got Blu-ray releases, to be perfectly clear. But then Sony bought Funimation, then bought Crunchyroll. And what started to happen? Those Blu-ray releases started to slow down a lot. And this is where I start to agree with John here. Yes, it doesn't make sense that they want a physical distribution platform company and whatnot because they don't seem to want to sell much physical releases. Their offerings and Blu-rays are garbage. Look how long it took for us to get Mushoku Tensei. It was like 2 years. It felt like 2 years. I think it was literally like, yeah, I think it was pretty close to 2 years. I could be wrong there. But it's just like every few months you get those releases of this is what we're releasing on Blu-ray, and it's like nothing. Compared to what Funimation was doing, it's nothing compared. It's just literally like 5 or 6 shows when a whole season just ended of 40 plus. You're not getting a release of everything anymore. And so it begs the question, what do they even care about physical releases at this point? But again, I think that's getting lost in the weeds to the overall concept here. They don't care about Blu-ray specifically. Sony does. Why? Sony is on the committee for Blu-rays. Every time a Blu-ray is sold, Sony makes money off of it. No matter if it's a Disney film or something. I don't know if they have some special contract with Disney. They could possibly have some contract with Disney. But every time a Blu-ray is released, Sony and the board is supposed to get a cut of it. That's the whole thing about the medium itself. They designed it. They have partial ownership in the spec of the Blu-ray, so they get cuts for it. So heck yeah, they like Sentai Filmworks selling a Blu-ray of some random show. They make money off of it. So of course they want physical medium to continue. This idea that Sony themselves is trying to kill the medium doesn't make any sense. Yes, it seems like that with the PS5 because it seems like they're trying to get rid of the disc drive. No. What happens every time they release one? They release one with the disc drive next to it. Oh, there's rumors about the next Slam that's coming out. What does it have? An attachable Blu-ray drive. Again, if those rumors are true. They can't get rid of it because it doesn't cost them much to put that on there. It costs more to the consumer because they have to buy it with the disc drive and they want you to pay extra for that disc drive, but they want you to buy that. They want you to keep buying Blu-rays. They want you to keep buying anime. But the argument can be made they're trying to limit how much you can get because you're still going to sub to Crunchyroll. You're going to still want the latest episodes. It doesn't harm them that you can get a Blu-ray, but there is that mindset there. And like I said, it's literally Netflix. Netflix has that mindset that if you could possibly buy a Blu-ray of some show that's on Netflix, you're not going to sub up, and they want that $20 and hopefully $40 when you forget to sub up or cancel your subscription or whatever. So again, I agree with John with Media Blasters here in this mindset of WTF. What was the point? Why did you buy a beloved brand and then kill it? And again, the answer then becomes that was always what they were doing. Like I said, when they first announced they bought it, I was like, a year, things are changing. I called it. I was off by a month, but it was the inevitable thing. There's no reason to keep the brand RightStuf. They want you to think Crunchyroll, Crunchyroll, Crunchyroll. Now, the fear that comes from this is the fear that I've been having with this company for a long time now, is now that they have control, they will dictate what is sold in the United States, what is sold in Canada, what is sold in the West to the enjoyers of content. They've already done it. The moment the buyout was announced, what happened on RightStuf? They cut all the R18 stuff. Even though on Crunchyroll, I think still to this day, you can go watch student council. My wife is a student council president, which is literally uncensored and everything. But R18, no, we can't sell R18 stuff. Come stream. My wife is student council president. No, you can't sell interspecies reviewers. Get that off this platform. Come watch. My wife is a student council president. Rules for thee, not for me. I am in control. Crunchyroll, Sony is in control. Now, the only thing that makes me not so fearful of that, I think that was the knee-jerk reaction. We're going to remove all of this R18 stuff, and it sucks. And again, it wasn't a shock to me as much as I hate it. Question is, at what point they'll keep pushing that? Oh, Sentai Filmworks. That's a competitor. Let's get their Blu-rays off our platform too. Media Blasters? Yeah, you stream some stuff over on YouTube, right? Let's get your stuff off our platform. Unless you want to play with us. Unless you want to bring unless you want to offer for us to stream your content, yeah, we'll sell your Blu-rays then. This is what happens with these monopolies. The moment Crunchyroll has so much control, eventually they start, now that everything's transitioned and they can focus on this, they can start moving those chess pieces and saying who can play ball and who can't. This is why, again, if you see something else popping up, a competitor, start supporting that. Because what Crunchyroll essentially created here wasn't a monopoly. Now you can, yes, fully agree. In the retail logistics sphere, no, not really. They have Amazon. Amazon is massive. But for that anime-only location, this is where things start to get a little bit questionable. And just keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open to what starts to drop off the platform, who they start playing ball with, and how that might affect this thing that we love, which is anime. Which is literally the biggest reason why most people here are emotional about this. And I hope that Crunchyroll understands that. People are going to be upset right now because you took away something they loved. They love Sean Kleckner. They love Ritsu. They love that stupid little penguin. I like the penguin better than Ritsu, honestly. They like that company, and you took it from them. What more are you going to take from them? That's what they don't like. You took Funimation away from them. There's probably a lot of people that love Funimation. You took it from them. What more are you going to take over? Why, instead of keep buying these companies, work with them? Don't buy High Dive. Don't buy Sentai Filmworks. Work with them. You don't have to own everything and control everything. That's, I think, where a lot of people have that dislike right now. They don't like that you're being the big dog that takes over everything. But anyways, I've ranted on long enough. This video's going longer than I thought. I was thinking like maybe an 8-minute video, and then I got to talking. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure to hit that like button down below. Comment. Let me know what you think of this whole situation. And yeah, if you want to support the channel and you like this content, I have a Patreon link, tips link, super thanks, membership button down below. Greatly appreciate it, but support the channel, and y'all take care.